So, Alyssa and Josh, you have an interesting story to share. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Sure. In my undergraduate work, I was taking a human sexuality class, and we touched upon egg donation, in vitro fertilization, and it kind of caught my attention, the egg donation part, especially because the compensation being a college student. Mm-hmm. So I was interested, and I looked more into it.
So you heard about it when you were an undergrad. You were
Right.
taking a human sexuality class, and then did you do something about it shortly afterwards, or was it something that a couple of months later you?
I think the idea stuck in my mind, but it probably was maybe 6 months later, or a couple, 7 months later, that I had the appointment, and I saw a pamphlet actually, and I was like, this is really interesting, and I think it would be really cool.
And what was it that drove you towards? What made you think it was cool? Was it the actually donating an egg to somebody who needed it, or more the financial aspect of it, or a combination of that?
I think all of it. I think the compensation definitely was something that I needed at the time, but also to think that I could give somebody a gift that they can't produce themselves, or something that they really wanted, that I was able to give them.
Okay. And at this time, Josh, where were you? Was this a conversation that you guys kind of talked about? Did she come home one day and say, I think I want to donate an egg, or how did that happen?
Yeah, we talked about it for a little while before she went through with it, but I was definitely a little skeptical about it at first. So,
What was it that worried you?
I think just the whole idea of the kids growing up, and if I had my own family, one day having to explain to my kids that, mommy has another set of kids, it's just kind of tough to explain. So.
Thinking of all the specifics. Okay. So what happens? What happens next? How long did it take for you to actually donate an egg? Because you decided to do that.
Right. I filled out an application actually on their website. I heard back immediately that they wanted to further interview me. I went in for genetic testing, genetic mapping, psychological test, a personality test. I think that was it. And that took a couple weeks to do all of that. They sent me home with some of the tests, and I was able to do them at my own pace. Then once I was officially accepted into the donor program, I was required to fill out a donor
Release? Or was this the open thing?
No, it was
okay.
no, it was my donor profile.
Oh, okay.
And it was really, really extensive. Even more about my family. I had to put certain pictures of myself growing up until present day onto the website, pictures of family members, siblings.
Now, is this something that you asked your family about as well? Did you go back and talk to if you're sharing pictures from your childhood?
I did. I talked to my family about it a little bit.
Were they supportive?
Actually, my mom was very skeptical about it. I think that was something that she couldn't fathom or think about. My father was really supportive, and so was my brother.
Okay. So flash forward. So what do they do? You decide to donate an egg. How do they get an egg out of you?
Basically, they schedule a time for the actual procedure. You have to check in at the end of your cycle every single day. So you're driving to the fertility clinic every single day to make sure that, okay, it's today the day that you're going to give the eggs. Or they have to be the exact perfection. They have to be ripe and ready to go. So finally, they said, okay, tomorrow 6 a.m. is your time. You're coming in tomorrow. So we drove there. I'm pretty sure you drove me there. And they put you under full anesthesia. And they actually suck them out with like a little teeny tiny tube. And they filter through the tube into a pool or like a vessel that they keep them in. And then they go to the back and they make babies in petri dishes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's exactly what so they already had his sperm in the back room.
They had him there at the same time I was there.
Wow.
Yep. So he
So they're
gave him-
monitoring all your hormones to make sure, knowing that 6 a.m. is when the peak is,
Yes.
they're going to be there as many eggs. So they're doing ultrasounds to look at your ovaries as
They
well?
did ultrasounds. I had blood work done every single day. They were drawing my blood. You get really used to being stuck.
Wow.
It didn't even hurt anymore. And I was not a person that was okay with needles. But you just do it.
That's great. And who's paying for these medicines?
The intended parent.
Okay, so at this point you had already met the intended parent?
I did.
Tell me a little bit about that person.
Well, he wanted to meet me. He wanted an open donation. He wanted no questions. He didn't want to have to wonder. So we set up a meeting. He actually lives in France, so we met in Connecticut. He came to me. We went out to lunch and to coffee and talked all day.
And Josh, were you there at that point, or was Alyssa, you met and you're feeling this out? Okay.
Right, because
Yeah.
I think essentially what he wanted was to make sure that his decision in choosing me was going to be the right one. So I think he was almost interviewing me a little bit to make sure I was the perfect match for him.
Okay.
I wasn't real open to her being open with it at that point, so I wasn't against it, but I just told her, you know, if that's what you feel like you want to do, you can do it, but I didn't really want to get too involved with it at that point.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so you meet him.
Right.
What did you think of him?
I thought he was awesome. He was really, really down to earth, really cool to talk to. He was really somebody that I thought I could hang out with if we were, you know, to know each other on different terms. So,
And how was he going to, he was going to actually hire a surrogate to carry this pregnancy?
right.
Okay.
Actually, to complete the full donation, you have to have everything in line. So you have to have your donor and your surrogate lined up. And there's a waiting list for surrogates, well, through the facility that I at least donated through. And I'm pretty sure he bought his way up the list because he didn't want to lose me as a donor. I wasn't going to do it this was my senior year of my undergraduate work, and I didn't want to be doing it while I was going into my career, so I had a timeline.
Right.
I wanted to do this before I finished.
Right.
So
And how much do you get paid to donate an egg?
it was $8,000.
And I just said an egg, but it was more than an egg. When you take so many fertility drugs, typically how many eggs does a person donate?
I was told the average was about 25. However, I gave 48.
48 eggs.
Yeah.
How did it feel to be on those fertility drugs?
I don't know what it's like to be pregnant, but I'm pretty sure I felt that way. I was really bloated, and my body changed completely. Actually, in those 2 weeks, I looked different. I was gaining weight. It was uncomfortable. It was really uncomfortable.
Okay, so it was an open donation.
Right.
What does that mean exactly?
Basically, I signed over rights that they can always have my contact information. The facility can follow me. I'll always keep my contact information updated and online. So if they ever need me, I'll be there. They can call me, email me, get a hold of me somehow.
Okay. And so what's happened since then?
We actually just keep in touch all the time via email, and now I gave in and got an iPhone, so we have a messenger that we message back and forth. Since he's overseas, it's kind of easier that way, and it's
Okay.
live chat, so we live chat all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you donated 48 eggs?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened with those eggs?
All of the eggs were given to him. They were all fertilized. They take a certain number of eggs that they're going to implant in the surrogate, and 2 took because he had twins. So,
And have you seen these twins?
yes. Yeah.
What do they look like?
One is his identical match, dark features, dark eyes, everything. And then another one I could kind of tell that he has more of my genetic makeup. He's a little bit lighter skin, lighter eyes. I was asking the father, I was like, does anybody in your family have light eyes or light hair? And he was like, no. But that runs in my family, so.
Neat. What did it feel like? Was it kind of strange seeing these two boys that were your eggs?
No, it wasn't, because I anticipated the whole 9 months that the surrogate was pregnant, and I was really excited for him the whole time. And then when I saw exactly like what they looked like and that these were real babies, I was just so excited. It just made the whole process and everything that was tough about it so worthwhile to me.
And what is his relationship status?
He's single.
Okay. So he's raising them by himself?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the impact on Josh and your relationship. How has it been for you going through this process? It sounds like it's almost been like a roller coaster. Like at the beginning you're like, okay, kind of explore that, but it's a pretty tough thing.
Yeah, at first it was definitely a lot harder to accept, but after a couple conversations with friends, we kind of thought about it, and it seemed like it was easier having an open relationship and getting to know him and getting to know the kids. That would be easier for later in life than, you know, having it closed and one day maybe the kids getting in touch with us. And
If you were talking to a couple, maybe a couple of college students that were thinking about doing this, what would be your advice to them?
If you are almost positive that this is something that you want to do, then 100% do it, because it's the most amazing feeling in the world. However, you do have to know that a lot of times it is a closed donation. And if you're the type of person that's going to wonder or think about it in the long term, then it might not be the right choice. A lot of times they don't offer the open donations.
Okay.
My case is different because one, he's single, and two, homosexual, and he lived in a different country, and he was coming to us and wanted to meet everybody, so
Okay.
yeah.
Good. Josh, what would your advice be?
I think on the male side, I think having the open, like Alyssa did, I think it was kind of tough, like seeing the pictures a little bit, because you know you're seeing a child that's from, like, we're married now, so a child that's from your wife, and you think like, all right, if I want to see a child that has my wife's traits, I want it to be my own. So that's even still like hard for me to kind of understand now, you know, looking at it. I don't know how I should take it, but I think you just need to understand, you know, that everything that happens and be accepting of it.
Well, I really, really appreciate you sharing your story. Thanks for spending some time with me.
Oh,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.